the one who kills and is thanked for it. And it's your boy Icon with another Netflix television review for you, going over episode 6. And the last episode was called Croft 6. That probably should have been episode 6. But this is episode 6. We're in Cuba. We're in Cuba. And while we're getting there, Laura's there licking her wounds. Everybody's licking their wounds from the last episode. Zip is talking to Ishu, and this is where we get more into the fact that as a black man, Zip has never been to Africa, nor does he know anything about his ancestry or his heritage. And then Ishu gives him the speech of, he was like, oh, you must go to Africa. This is the most beautiful place of natural beauty you have ever seen. And now Zip is just like, damn, I don't know shit about my life's background. Meanwhile, Jonah's girlfriend, she's basically hooking up the helicopter that they stole, from Mila. And they're just like, she's like, this baby can get you all the way around the world and you'll still have a full tank of gas. And then Laura's just like, I don't know, something's missing. And then, Sam told her, she was just like, oh, you have something that Mila doesn't have, is like you have a team and you have family. See, and my whole thing is, that's like Laura is always dead set against like doing it alone. She's like, I must go it alone. But in the last episode, it proved how much she could get done by actually having a team by her side. And I don't know why she doesn't lean into that a little bit more. But I guess now she is kind of like leaning into it more because she's accepting everyone else's help. So, they're getting ready. They're just like, we're on our way to Cuba. But then, she was just like, I don't know. She's like, something's missing. And then Sam also told her, she was like, look, she said that Mila, she said that you can have all the skills, all the talent, all the ingenuity, all the smarts, but she was just like, you also got to know how to play the political game as well. And she's like, for the love of God, Laura, she's like, you're a Croft. And she was like, yes, I'm a Croft. What does that mean? She was like, turn around. And then she saw like the mansion on the hill and the helicopter. She was like, you's rich, bitch. So she's like, maybe it's about time you start using your political influence and stop jumping off of rooftops and putting guns in people's ass. And she's like, I don't know. She's like, I'll think about it. And then, then they get on the helicopter, they go to Cuba. It's Laura, it's Sam, it's Ishu, and then she was just like, and then he gave us a little hint about his power, because he said at one point he was like, oh, I could shape shift or whatever the case may be, and then they were just like, well, what good does that do? But but then while they were there, they were just like, okay, so we're going to see your brother. And he was just like, yes, my brother, Babalu, I don't know what that means, do you? Like, if you get that reference, you had an awesome childhood. So they're going to see Babalu, like his older brother. And then she was just like, oh, tell Sam what Babalu's powers are. And then he was just like, it's the most scariest of them all. He's like, the power of disease and, like in death. And then they were just like, oh my gosh. That's like, oh my. And then he was like, back in the day, Babalu and I, we used to run the circus. We used to kill and we used to pillage for fun. And he was the most fearsome warrior. And if she's coming for his mask, she will not survive. And then they get to Babalu's house, and that shit is full of sunshine and rainbows and pretty flowers. And she was like, what the bloody hell is this? He was like, brother, first of all, you're fat. He was like, how does your stomach get so round? He was like, second of all, he said, you have a garden like in front of your house. He's like, it actually smells really good. And he was just like, what happened to you? You're not the brother I knew. But then come to find out, he has a wife and he has a child. And what better way to turn a man, into a softie than, family, wife, and child. So he's like, oh, I left that life behind. He was like, the life of death. I put it behind me and I only want to do the living. And then she said, they basically told him the story about how they done killed they killed one of your sisters. They killed your brother. They killed your sister. One of your other brothers took his own life. And, and then, they was like, your mama, she kept hers, and your other sister, she still got her mask. But they were just like, we need your mask. Cause she's coming. There's like, she's coming for your ass. So where's your mask? And he was just like, I left it in the ocean with my mother, so, so there was like a temple in the ocean where the mask was. They went in there to get it. They get the mask. And then when they bring the mask out, they're basically just waiting at this point. They didn't booby trap the house. But then Mila shows up, and she has Babalu's wife and child by gunpoint, by knife point. The two goons are there, like along with her. And she was just like, give me the mask or I'll hurt your family. And then Laura basically like hit the red button because she had booby trapped the whole front yard with explosives. And then my man Babalu put the mask on, and he was just like, it's time to whoop, some hiney. And then that's when the death and destruction began. And his mask is scary because when he put his shit on, like his whole body like transformed, like into like this, this wooden death creature, this creature of death. And then he was going back and forth, everybody was fighting, Laura was fighting. And then like the Amazon, they call her Fig, and then the other dude, she called him Fig Jr. They like Fig was there, they were fighting everybody. But then it gets to the climax of the fight because towards the end, and then Sam was completely useless throughout this whole thing. There was even a moment where Issa had said to his brother, he was just like, brother, he was like, there's no shame in retreat. And then he was like, I would not abandon my people like you did, brother. And then he felt the shame. And then, so that he was fighting. He continued to fight her, and again, at this point, this chick, she got the power of earth and she has like, the power of healing. So the two of them were fighting. He almost killed her. Like he almost killed her, he almost got her, but then she was able to basically like use the power of earth, like to put the thorns in his, in his arm and like weaken him. And then right before, because he did poison her, but then she used the healing mask, to like heal her poison and to heal her body. And then right before she was actually about to take his mask off his face, he took a knife out of his pocket and he killed himself, like he stabbed himself. Because we learned in the last episode, when you take your own life, the mask breaks and then you can't get your hand, then all the power is gone. Now, she pulled a Thanos on him because after he killed himself and then the mask was about to break, she used her healing power, she used the healing mask to heal his wounds and she brought him back to life. And then after she brought him back to life, she ripped the mask off of his face. And then when she ripped the mask off his face, and then she stabbed him with the knife. And that's it. Now, my whole thing is, you already took the mask. You ain't have to kill him. Like, there was no reason to, killing him was pointless. With the other girl, the other girl, she was holding on to her mask for dear life, so you had to kind of kill her to get the mask off her. You didn't have to kill him. You already took the mask. She just did that shit to be a bitch. Then after she killed him, she put the mask on. And then here's the thing, because now they're just like, oh, if you have the power of healing, the power of death, the power of disease and poison, and the power of earth, you're basically like the controller of the world. You got 50% of, of the world destruction in your hands. But for some reason, when she put the death mask on, it backfired and she started going crazy. And then she was just like, oh my God. And then she passed out. And then the figs, they snatched her up and they jumped in the helicopter and they dipped. And then, but then after that, the spirit of the brother died, and then the land that they were on started turning into, to ash, withering away. And then Sam was just like, oh my God, Laura, what should we do? And then she was like, for the love of God, I don't know. It's all over. And that's how the episode ended. And thank you for tuning in. But it's not over yet, because the thing is, she only has 3 masks. The other healing mask is still out there. The water mask is still out there, and whatever the hell Issa's mask does, and see, this is the thing that's killing me, because this woman's going after these masks. The twin sister's still there. You never really try, because she sent Fig to go after the mom. Mila herself never went after them, because now that she has 3 masks, why would you now not go after the mother? And then Issa's here the whole time. Why are we not trying to take his mask? There's something weird, something very weird going on here of why she's being very selective with who she's running up on and who she's not running up on. But like I said, we got 2 more episodes to go. This one was very good. It was very sad as well, and we'll see what happens. That boy, Babalu's son, he gonna grow up to take his vengeance one day. You already see it in that boy's eye. And like I said, we'll see what happens in episode 7. So share your questions, comments, and concerns down below. What do you think about this particular episode of Tomb Raider? Check me out on TikTok, on Instagram, on X, and on YouTube, and you can leave your questions, comments, and or concerns. And we'll roll on for episode 7, as I don't even know where we're going next. I don't know whose mask is next, but we going for somebody. And then this bitch got, she about to wreak havoc all over the planet, and only Lara Croft can save her. And that's Laura, L-A. So until next time, guys, signing off for the power of poison. Until then, we wreak destruction upon the earth, and then we're out this bitch.